In this video, I'm going to show you how to eat right when you're at work. If you want to control what you eat, control your body, and control your life, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. We spend so much of our lives at work. We have to make an income. We have bills to pay. We have a family to support. We're going to spend at least 1/3 of our lives at work. So I would say anywhere between 2 and 3,000 hours, not to mention all the time you spend commuting and all the time you spend at home doing your work, because now we have phones and computers and there's really no break anymore. There's no escape with modern technology. That's why it's really important that you eat right when you're there, because you're going to spend a lot of time in the office. Some of us work in cubicles, some people like me work in our cars, but we spend all of this time with our coworkers. We have meetings, we have conferences, we have social events and parties. There is temptation everywhere, and you can make bad decisions or you can make good decisions. Having said that, being in the office is not the best place to become the healthiest version of yourself unless you work at a place like Google where they have slides and you can stand up and they have the cafeteria there, but most of us work in the real world. But there are good options and there are bad options, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the best options possible. My first piece of advice for you is to eat at set times and at set places. I highly recommend that you do not eat at your workstation. I know it has become acceptable to do that, but I think one reason why we've gotten so big over the last 30 to 40 years, and places like France haven't gotten as big, although they're getting bigger too, is cultural norms. It's okay to eat at meetings. It's okay to eat in the car. It's okay to eat while you're walking. It's okay to eat in the kitchen. It's okay to eat at your desk. It's okay to eat while you're on your laptop or you're on your phone. It's become acceptable to eat anywhere. And the more you can defy these new cultural norms, the better off you will be. It's probably best to eat where everybody else is eating, but some people like me are more introverted and we're more reclusive and we don't necessarily want to make conversation when we're at work. So it's okay to eat in your own private space. Now, if you're going to do that, then I highly recommend you turn off your work. You can read something light or just look at headlines or maybe watch a video like the one you're watching right now, or you can maybe look at your phone. The best thing to do is to eat without distraction, but I know how hard that is to do in the modern world. Even I do that. Just choose somewhere where you're comfortable. But when you finally do take a break, just turn off your work. You're not so busy that you have to be working at all times all day. If you're doing that, then you're probably not being efficient with the time that you've given yourself. My second point is give yourself a break at some point. So this is kind of the same as the first one, but I want to expand on it a little bit. You need to have a set time where you actually eat. I know it's really tempting just to keep working, keep working, keep working, get more done, but really, how productive is the average worker these days? In an 8-hour day, how much work is really being done? When you take into account all of the email and the phone calls and the distractions and the internet and social media and some video that somebody just sent you, how much work are you really getting done? When you're working, be working. When you take a break, take a break. Speaking of breaks, my next tip is take a walk if you can. I know this isn't always possible. Maybe it's raining outside, or maybe it's winter and it's cold, or maybe you work in an area that's kind of sketchy or an industrial zone and there's no good place to walk. But if you can, just get up and walk around. If you can't go outside, then get up every hour and just walk around the building, or just stand up and do some squats or whatever. I remember working in an office and every hour a bell would go off, or like somebody's timer would go off, and they would have to get up and they would have to do like arm exercises and that sort of thing. And it was actually really healthy because they were working in cubicles, so they were sitting down all day, which is not the healthiest thing. But they got up every hour, did some exercises. It was only 3 or 4 minutes, and they reported that they were more productive because they actually had the focus when they were working. They couldn't work all the time. And that little extra movement boosted their productivity. So instead of falling asleep or getting really drowsy, they had to get up and move, which actually improved their blood flow. Some people have jobs like lawyers and they are expected to sit. It's not customary or acceptable to stand up and go take a walk. You're expected to stay in your office, sit down, and do your research and work on your case. Some professions are healthier than others. Being a truck driver or being in a job where you're expected to sit all day are probably not the healthiest professions. Even what I do, where I drive a lot, it's not the healthiest thing, but at least I can get up once an hour and do some sort of exercise. I'm working with patients, so that makes me get up and move. If your job or your career is making you less healthy and it's taking a toll on your health, reconsider. I'm not saying that you should put in your 2 weeks tomorrow and quit your job because you think it's making you less healthy. But if you value your health and your job is fundamentally unhealthy, then you might want to reconsider or do something else within your field. Start taking steps now to make that happen. My third tip for you is don't eat at meetings. Now, why do I say that? Because inevitably at meetings, there is going to be stuff like this. Okay, here's a nice, I think this is a chocolate chip bagel. It looks like a raisin bagel. They always bring bagels, and they always bring coffee, and they always bring the granddaddy of them all, donuts, yay, with the sprinkles on them, chocolate sprinkles. Oh my God. I remember working at an engineering firm. I didn't work there for too long, but I remember every meeting they would have leftover donuts and leftover bagels, and I remember how much anxiety that created in my mind, because I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to resist, and now I have to say no, and inevitably I would capitulate and have one, then two, then maybe three. It's okay these days to have bagels and donuts at a meeting or at any sort of conference. I think that's part of the problem, is that it's okay to eat anywhere and everywhere. When did this become acceptable? I'm not sure, because I haven't been around that long. I don't know how it was back in the day. But why is it okay to bring donuts and bagels? Why do we expect the host of a meeting to supply all of these cheap carbohydrates? A lot of people in office buildings have health and fitness goals. They're trying to get healthier. They've probably gained weight because they have that sort of job, and they're actively taking measures to improve their health or reduce their weight, whatever it is. So why do we constantly feel that we have to tempt other coworkers into eating donuts and bagels all the time? We can make it through a 1 hour meeting without donuts and bagels. People aren't going to keel over and die because they haven't had simple carbohydrates for 1 hour. If you're the host of a meeting, just make it known that you're not going to be supplying bagels and donuts. People will be okay with it. People won't hate you because you didn't stop at Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme and get 30 powdered jelly-filled donuts. You need to separate work from eating from pleasure. Separate meals from your work. Do one or do none at all. My fourth tip for you is plan ahead and don't rely on takeout. It amazes me how much people spend on takeout. I went to a Chipotle not too far from here, and I got just one vegetarian burrito. It was black beans, white rice with some guacamole. And I didn't even get chips. I didn't get a drink. I didn't get the cookies at the front. It was still $8.27. Now I know taxes are a little higher here, but still $8.27 for just a little burrito that I could probably make in my home for a third of the cost. Don't forget the drinks and the chips, and you're looking at $10, maybe even $12 for just a simple little meal. Do that every day, and you're looking at an enormous cost. I highly recommend you just plan ahead. It doesn't have to be super complicated. These days, most offices have refrigeration, they have microwaves, they have utensils that make it super easy to put something in a plastic container and heat it up when you get there. You can also pack fruit, you can also pack nuts, you can pack some bread, peanut butter jelly sandwiches. It's almost always cheaper, more efficient, and a lot healthier if you just plan ahead. If you don't want to use a refrigerator, you can have a lunchbox. You can put a couple of, they're like ice boxes that you put in the freezer, and then you put them in your lunchbox, and it keeps the lunchbox closed. It's easier than ever to pack. What's even worse is going out with coworkers, because you inevitably eat more and you spend a lot of time chit-chatting. Speaking of which, if you're in sales and you're talking to your coworkers, you're not prospecting, are you? But going out to eat can easily be $15 or $20 per meal. Skip the restaurants, don't get takeout, and certainly don't use apps like DoorDash and Grubhub that will bring you a bunch of greasy, nasty food straight to your door. Not only that, but you're also paying a surcharge because you're paying somebody to deliver it. Save your money, improve your health, don't get takeout. My next tip for you is to keep candy and other treats away from your desk, or at least outside of arm's reach. How many times do you walk into an office and you see somebody with a bowl of candy in front of their desk? I don't know when this became customary either, but it's almost like you have to have a bowl of candy or a bowl of mints on your desk so that when somebody comes in, they are treated with a bunch of sugar. I don't know if that improves the experience of being at work. I don't know if that makes the conversation lighter or easier. I don't know. I don't understand the psychology of that. You don't need to have a bowl of chocolates on your desk. You don't need to have a bowl of candy within arm's reach. When you're doing something tedious or boring or frustrated, you're more likely to grab something to alleviate that stress or that negative feeling. Speaking of stress, work is one of the biggest sources of stress in our lives. It is a modern stress, and when we're stressed, we tend to eat more. So when you combine stress with deadlines and coworkers and bosses and other demands of work, and then you combine that with some sort of sugar, it is a disaster waiting to happen. Don't keep stuff like this within arm's reach. In fact, I recommend you keep nothing in your office, keep nothing in your drawers, keep nothing on your desk. Just keep your workstation devoted to work. And if you want to bring something to work, keep it in the kitchen. Speaking of the kitchen, stay out of the kitchen as much as you can. There's a lot of stupid office politics and office gossip and stupid conversation. You end up wasting time there, but they always put donuts and bagels and coffee and other treats inside the break room. I remember every Friday working in an office, somebody would bring in donuts and bagels every Friday without exception. Of course, that was one of the days I worked there, and it always caused a lot of anxiety because I knew Friday mornings I was going to have to resist the donuts and say no. And more times than not, I ended up eating one or two donuts, and then I ended up binging later because what the hell, I had already blown my diet. This is my point. Work is one of the worst places to try to get healthy when you combine the donuts and bagels and the meeting room and then in the kitchen and then the treats in all of the offices and then the treats in your office and then the stress and the anxiety and then the takeout and the restaurants and all of the politics. It is a really bad way to try to get healthy and try to lose weight and try to improve your eating habits. The best thing to do is to work from home or to work in your own office where you can control your own environment. I understand that's not possible for all people, but that should be an aspiration for all of us. Or better yet, you can be the boss and dictate what the rules are. I know that's not feasible for everybody, but everybody should be taking measures to be doing that. So what are my best tips for eating right when you're at work? Keep food away from your computer or just keep it out of your office altogether. Don't eat at meetings. Stay out of the kitchen. Get up and take walks once in a while. Do not rely on takeout because it's more expensive and less healthy. Avoid lunches with your coworkers if possible. Give yourself a break during the day and eat during that break. Don't eat while you're trying to do work. You need to plan ahead and bring something so that you're not relying on takeout. That means you need to think ahead maybe on Sunday and figure out what you need for the week. And just stay away from all of the treats if you can. If you're the host of a meeting, don't bring donuts and bagels. If you have your own office, don't keep treats in the office. Set an example and other people will follow. If you're struggling with overeating, binge eating, or you have bad eating habits that you're trying to fix, I have some good news for you. I have a free video that will show you how to stop overeating, stop binge eating, and conquer cravings for good. You can go to saneaters.com and find the video there. If you want to speak with me directly, there is a link in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos. And don't eat one of these.